Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today in this video I'll be sharing with you how to make this beautiful top I'm putting on right now. So if you're yet to subscribe, please hit on the subscribe button and let's get started. So guys, in my last video I shared with you guys how to draft this pattern and we cut it out there in the last video. So today we're going to be sewing these pieces together. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove all the pins that I used to cut this out. I've gone ahead to cut it on the actual fabric and also on the lining piece. I did this for all the pieces that I have here. So I have the actual pieces, which is velvet, and then I have a lining piece also cut out. For this particular outfits that I'm making, I had 1 yard of velvet fabric. That's what I'm using to make this top. So right now I'll go ahead and iron my stay to all the pieces I have here. This is going to prevent my velvet fabric from stretching. It has some element of stretch, so I'm going to iron my stay to it to make it stand normally. So let's go ahead and do this for all the pieces. So guys, this is what I have. I've ironed the stay to all the pieces, both the actual pieces and also the lining pieces here. You can see I did the same thing for all of them. So now the next thing we're going to go and do is to start joining my pieces together. So guys, right now I'm going to arrange the front pieces so that we start joining the pieces together. So this is what I have here. This is how it's supposed to stand. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this to the wrong side so that we'll go ahead and first of all iron our interfacing. So guys, this is it. This is what it looks like when you turn it over to the wrong side. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my wadding, which is what I'm going to be using as an interfacing for the bustier part. Some people also call this padded, if that's what you know it as. So I'm just going to go ahead and iron this to the cup area of my bustier. So guys, this is what I had after I was done ironing it. You can see that I actually had a way I cut it out in the shape of like a bra, like this, just so it follows it. And for the middle part, you can see I left some space in this neck area here because I'm going to be adding a net to that part. I don't want it to be too thick by the time I'm joining the net to it. So right now we're just going to go ahead and pin this bustier area down just like you see me doing like this, and then I'll go over to the sewing machine and stitch it together. So guys, this is what it looks like with the pins. So I'll go over and stitch this area down, and I will do the same thing for this other part of the dress. So guys, after I was done stitching it down, this is what it looks like, and this is what the back is looking like right now. Can you see how nicely it looks? And I've also gone ahead to iron my seams open. So this is what I have right now. So now we are going to go ahead and work on the back pieces. So these are the two back pieces for one side of the back. So I'm just arranging them in place how they're supposed to be to ensure that they are staying properly where they're supposed to be. So now we'll flip it over, making sure that the right sides are facing each other, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin this down as well. So now I'll go over to the sewing machine and I'm just going to go ahead and stitch down this area here, and I'll do the same thing for the other part of the back piece. So this is what it looks like after I was done stitching it down, and I also went ahead to iron these seams open. This middle space we have here is going to be for our lacing for the back piece. So now we are going to join the back pieces to the front piece. So I'm just going to arrange them in place. Just ensure that you're arranging it properly because the pieces actually look very similar. So as you can see, I'm just going ahead to pin this down on the sides, just holding it down with my pin, and then I'll go over to the sewing machine. When I was cutting this out, I gave it 1.5 inch of stitching allowance, so I'm going to use that 1.5 inch to stitch it on the sides. So guys, it's all stitched down and I've gone ahead to iron it out as well. So this is how nicely it's looking. So if I open it up, you see where I stitched it down here on the sides. I've gone ahead to reduce the allowance after I was done stitching it down so that it's not too bulky. So this is it for the front piece. I'm just going to go ahead and do everything I've done on the front piece on the lining pieces. So guys, this is what the lining piece is looking like right now. I also went ahead to gum wadding to the back here, just like I did for the actual velvet print. This is because this particular wadding I'm making use of is not thick, so I want it to be thick by the time I'm done stitching down everything. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is to add our little net to the neckline. So remember that this is the yoke that we cut out in the previous video. Guys, just in case you've not seen the previous video, please go ahead and check it out so that you understand what we are doing here. So for the yoke, I'm just going to place it on my net. As you can see, the net is in a fold, so I'm placing it and I went ahead to cut it out straight. I cut the neckline area straight. I'm just going to reduce it a little bit because the net on the one we're following didn't get to the top of the neckline. So now this little piece of net, we're just going to go ahead and place it around this area of the neckline here. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is to pin it down first. But before that, first thing I would like to do is make a little notch at this neck area here, just a very little notch, and then we'll go ahead and place our net. As you can see, I'm placing it on one side first, and I'm going ahead to pin it all the way to the other end where I made a little notch. So I've done it for this side. Now we'll go ahead and flip the other parts over like this, and then I will just go ahead and ensure that everything is in place. I'll go ahead and pin down this other side as well. Make sure that everything has the same measurement, that one part is no longer than the other. So when you're through getting that in place, go ahead and pin it down as well. So after I was done pinning it in place, this is what it is looking like right now. So I'll go ahead and hold it in place with my sewing machine, and I'll be right back. So guys, this is what it looks like right now after I was done stitching it down. So this is it. So we're going to go ahead and use our lining piece now to cover this up so that it comes out really nicely. So as you can see, I'm just placing them right side facing each other, the lining and the actual velvet fabric that we're using for the front. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is to pin down the top part of this bustier top, as you see me doing like this. So when I pin it to the end of the cup like this, we are going to place the velvet inside the cup. I don't know if you guys understand me. Place it inside so that you'll be able to do the neck part. So we're going to just do one part of this bustier for now. So right now I'm pinning down the neck area while the other part of the velvet fabric is inside the bustier. I'm sure you are going to understand this, what I'm trying to explain better, by the time I open up this part for you guys to see. But just for now, go ahead and pin down just one part. We're just working on one part of this bustier for now. So after pinning down this neck area, one part of the neck and one part of the side, I'll go ahead and stitch this down on the sewing machine, and I'll be right back. So guys, I've stitched down this side, and this is what it looks like. So I'm just going to cut off the excesses, make notches around, and then we'll go ahead and turn it to the right side. So let's turn it to the right side so that you guys will understand what I mean by stitching down just one side first. So can you see how what I have here? Can you see I've stitched down only one part? It's not possible for you to stitch down the two parts at the same time. It's going to be very hard to work on. So now we'll go ahead and work on this second part of the cup that we have not stitched down. So can you see how I'm placing it? Turn it over again. Now the other part of the cup is going to be inside while you work on this other side of the neck. So I'll go ahead and pin it down as well. Pin down the neck area, that's the yoke area where we have our little net. Pin it down, and then go ahead and pin down the top of the bustier as well, just like we did on the other part. So again, I'll go ahead and stitch this down, and I'll be right back. So I'm going to trim away the excesses again and make notches so that it doesn't look puffy at the top area, and then we're just going to go ahead and turn it over to the right side, and you guys will see how neatly it looks. So can you see how it looks? I'm here to iron this out, and it's looking really nice. Let's turn it over to the back so that you guys will understand how it looks here. Can you see how the back is looking neat? Our yoke is there. I know it's really hard to see the yoke because of the table I'm using. So right now we're going to go ahead and make a top stitch on this bustier area. We are just going to end the top stitch at where the neckline started here. So I'll make a top stitch towards the lining. The top stitch is going to be towards the lining, just like the same way you would do your top stitch for your normal necklines. So guys, I've made the top stitch and you can see the bustier area looking really nice. I've gone ahead to iron it out as well. So the next thing you want to do now is to work on the loops for the back part of this bustier top and then finish up the ends. So for the loops, I'm going to be using my bias tape. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my bias tape into two like this, and I'll go ahead and stitch it down on the sewing machine. So guys, my rope is ready. I had about 4 yards of that, and then what I did is I went ahead to pin down this piece together so that I'll trim off any excesses that is not staying in place. So I've gone ahead to do that already, and as you can see, I'm removing the pins. So now the next thing we're going to do is to attach the loop to the back of this top. And what I'm going to do first is to draw a straight line across from the top all the way to the end, and it's 1/2 inch away from the end of the back part. So after doing this, you're going to make a first pinning of your bias tape. As you can see, I pinned it down, and from that point I'm taking my tape to mark 1 inch difference for my loop. I want all the loops to have 1 inch difference, so I'm going to do this all the way to the end of this top. So my chalk is a little bit bent, so I don't know if you guys are seeing this very clearly. So what I'm doing right now is I'm twisting the bias and folding it up along the line I made. Let me bring it closer so that you guys will understand what I'm saying. So you're going to turn your bias tape like this. Can you see? Twist it up the way I just did now, and then you're going to pin it down. So this is another way I learned recently on how you can create your loop, and it's very, very beautiful. So you fold it up like this, you turn it like this first, then twist it to the back again, and then pin it down. So if you guys want me to share a detailed video of how to just do this loop, please let me know in the comment section. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that behind the camera, and what I'm going to do is make a top stitch along the white line all the way to the end by the time I'm done with this. So this is what I mean, guys. I've gone ahead to finish up to the end and made a top stitch on it. As you can see the black line where I made that top stitch. So now the next thing we're going to do is to cover it up with the lining. So you're going to go ahead and cover it up with the lining. You will be doing it from the other side so that you can follow this line we already have here. So first you fold the two pieces at the ends, fold it up like this, just like you see me doing like this. Fold it up and go ahead and stitch on the line that you already have here. So guys, I've done it for the both parts. I've stitched it down here, and I went ahead to cut off the excesses so that it's not too bulky at that area. So you can see what the ends is looking like. It's a little bit folded, and this is what the loop is looking like. So right now I'm going to be placing a boning at the end of this part here. This is to prevent our top from folding at the back by the time we lace it up. So I'll go ahead and create a boning casing, just enough for my boning to pass through at the end of this part, and I'll do it for the both sides. So this is what it looks like after I was done stitching down my boning case. So this is what I have, and I've done it for the other side as well. Now the last thing we want to do is to finish up the ends of this top, and like you guys already know, I love to do inner stitches. So I'm turning this to the wrong side, and what I'm going to go ahead and do is to stitch this down, leaving a little bit of space on one side, just a very little space, for me to be able to turn it over to the right side by the time we're done. So I'll go ahead and stitch this down, leaving a little bit of space here to turn it over to the right side. So guys, this is it. I've stitched it down and I left this space like I said I was going to do. So let's go ahead and turn it out through the space. So guys, this is what it looks like. So I'll go ahead and fold this opening up like this, fold it in like this, and go ahead and just make a top stitch to seal up this end. So before I do that, I'm going to place bonings through the casing that I had on the back, and just go ahead and cut off the boning. So the tiny holes I have here, I'll stitch it up here as well, and then finish up this side by making a top stitch. So guys, I'm done with almost everything relating to this beautiful top, and you can see how nicely it looks after I was done ironing it out. Both the front and the back part looks really beautiful. So as you can see, I'm just going ahead to lace it up with my lace, which is also a bias strip that I folded into two, and you can see how nicely it is looking. Front, back, looking really nice. I can't wait to try this top, honestly. So this is a quick tip. Whenever you are making an outfit that has anything to do with lacing at the back, whether it's a corset or a bustier, I would advise that you make sure you have a boning very close to the lacing, so that it looks really nice when you put it on, instead of it folding up at that area. So guys, the last but not the least, I'm just going to go ahead and cut out this flower piece I have here, and I'm going to use my pins, needle and thread to just make decorations around the neckline. So I'm basically just trimming out the pieces, the flowers, and arranging them in a way that it looks both the same way on the both parts of the neckline. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead now and use my needle and thread to stitch this in place, and after I was done, this is what we had. Very beautiful. I absolutely love the outcome, and I made a pencil skirt with what was left of my fabric, so that's why it looks like I have a gown here. So thank you so much guys for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.